With it being the week of OP11's pre-release, I have some tips and tricks for you. This is going to include how many 2Ks to play in a format that has so many frickin' 2Ks, how many blockers to play in a set that has so many blockers, and the most important cards to play in your deck, and the most underrated cards you may have missed. I did just win my pre-release. I have 2 pre-releases this set. If you don't believe that I know the things, I know the things because I'm a winner. And tomorrow I will have a video doing a deeper dive on how I actually won. I did actually film one of the plays, so I mean, you'll definitely be able to see how I actually won one of the tournaments if you need a more hands-on experience. For today though, we're going to deep dive into the set itself, talk about some of the best cards you can play in a sealed format, and some of the best ideas going into a sealed format that will help you play better and win your local pre-release. With that being said, let's jump right into the set. Hold up. It sounds like I'm doing a Perona laugh. That was a horrible impression. This Friday, we will be doing a stream at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we'll be hosting a 12-box opening of OP11, but there are some giveaways. It's all just my case. We're gonna see what we can pull in this OP11 case. We're gonna have a lot of fun with it as a community, but we will have some giveaways for people in the chat. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel and you get into the stream Friday. As I just mentioned, I did win 2 of these, and I'm never gonna play this in my buggy deck. So I will be giving away one of the Draco Mihawk's pre-release winners here. It's hard to see with the lighting. That beautiful card right there. We will be giving away one of those. We'll also be giving away this beautiful Gecko Moria alt art, totally playable in any black deck in a whole different format. We also have 8 sealed packs of Royal Blood that I got from the card shop, so definitely one to check out, as you'll get some free packs here of Royal Blood. And to top it off, a green yellow Shirahoshi leader from the brand new set, a beautiful alt art leader that I definitely think people are going to want. So know the giveaways are US only, so that is something you need to know, because I don't have the way to ship internationally right now. So please jump in, anybody who does want to just join in and hang out. In the future, we will have more international giveaways, so just know I do want to give back to our international community. Just right now, I don't have the means to do so. YouTube just doesn't pay me enough, honestly. With that being said, all this is coming out of my pocket to build up the community that we are already building a huge foundation on. So thank you guys so much for the support recently. It's going to be an amazing 12-box opening stream with all of us hanging out and just playing some OP11, ripping some OP11, and maybe a few games on the sim. So we will be streaming from 6 and probably until 10 o'clock at night. So please join in. It's going to be so much fun, and I can't wait to see you there.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
One thing that I see from a lot of players in this set is running too many 2K counters, and I know that sounds crazy in a sealed format, but we need to look at the math. In a 50 card deck, we're prone to running 10 to 12 2K counters on average, and in the sealed format, every single time I've pulled 16 plus 2K counters now that the new vanilla 2Ks are available. With that, too many people are running too many 2Ks because all you draw into is a ton of counter, and I think that's an issue in the format. People are taking out their own good cards that they could be playing on curve, or strong vanilla options that you could play down and have a 5-7 rather than a 5-6 2K, and so I think people need to learn how to play 2Ks. In this format specifically, I recommend playing the 2K counter vanillas and a few niche options that actually have utility. With that, let's actually look into those utility 2Ks and the 2Ks that we recommend. And here's where we look into every single 2K. As you can see, I have them all up here on the sim in a nice little standard format. And you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16, 24 different 2K options in which you will pull a lot of them. In one point, I pulled 4 of this Otahime, and as I was saying, a lot of them are useless. If your leader Shirahoshi, you may turn 1 card from the top of your life face down, draw 1 card, and we don't have face up life, so this doesn't do anything. So we're going to go through and start with going through all of the options I would recommend not to run unless you have to. Now, if you don't pull a lot of 2Ks, that's on you, bro. Just pull better. I mean, for real. I would say, though, cards like Otahime, I would not recommend playing unless they're your final option. Same thing with Kami, so we're going to go ahead and take this out of the list, which will show you the list of 2Ks at the end, a full breakdown as we go through. So, Kami, no utility. It says if your opponent activates an event or trigger, you may activate this effect. If your opponent has 2 or less life cards, trash the top card of your opponent's life area. This is not very playable. I mean, there are a lot of counter events, but there's better options for if your opponent does activate events, and so I do not recommend Kami itself. I mean, I just don't think it's really useful in the format. Now, you will see a ton of these vanillas, and these will be at your own discretion to use because there are so many of them. I do 100% recommend playing these, though, and having a few extra 2Ks than usual standard format, not more than 14. So the magic number of 2Ks 2K counters, in my personal opinion, is 14 in this format, because you will find so many and they will have utility and they will be played on the board. Like a 5-6 is not bad. I mean, yes, it has no effect, but if you have no other options, this is a great card just to put on the board. Same thing with the 6-7, and the same thing with even a 4-4 here in Frankie, which Frankie does have some utility in this format. Now, it says your turn, once per turn, when your opponent activates an event this turn, all of your characters gain plus 2,000 power. So this does not sound great, but when we look into the format and look at all the events, there are Gum Gum Red Hawk, You're Not My Type, which is a plus 4,000. Gum Gum Red Hawk is a plus 3,000. I mean, there's so many options here. Gear 2 is another plus 3,000 counter. You could play this and just take a random guess at the top of your opponent's cost of their deck, maybe, but usually not this. But there, I mean, I'm just saying, there's so many counter events. I actually found some utility of Gum Gum King Cobra, which basically says if you have 4 or less cards in your hand, plus 2,000 extra on top of the 2,000. So it's like a 4K counter. So that's already a strong utility option. You have Vagabond Drill, which is one of the best counter events. We're going to be into counter events in a little bit. I just want to show you there's so many. Here's another one that gives you plus 3,000 here. This one also gives you plus 3,000. So I mean, there's just options on options on options. So I would say definitely possibly use Frankie. Now, of course, this is more situational than most of the others, but I think it definitely will work. Although it is only on your turn, so you swing in and they can kind of choose when to use the counter events. But getting plus 2,000, even if it just goes on Frankie himself because he stands as active, it gives you an option on a 4-Dawn turn, which usually you don't have any options in this format on 4-Dawn, which you will see more in tomorrow's video, because I'll show you how to break down how many costs to play and how important that really is in a deck. Because sometimes you'll have nothing but 5 cost characters and nothing to do on 3, 4, 2, or 1, and it kind of feels like you're doing nothing. I call it the big 8, which I had to do several times in this format, just swing a big 8, because there's not many 3 cost characters if you choose to go first. Now, this Reiju, I don't think you play it. It's a top 5 searcher in the deck. It's a 4-5. It's not bad for sure, and definitely if you're running low on 4 cost characters, this is a great option just as a vanilla stat line, or as a, vanilla 2K stat line, I should say, having 1K extra than the cost. But altogether, I would not recommend running this unless you have some idea that I don't. Maybe you're running a very strong Germa package and it's, played on 4-Dawn perfectly on curve to search for a Niji or something like that. But on average, I would say don't run this. Now, Strucin, I think, is not worth playing either, because you have to choose the top card of your opponent's deck and reveal it and guess the cost basically on random, and you have to go Dawn minus, which going Dawn minus in this format puts you behind in tempo. Don't run Strucin. Same thing with Charlotte Montador. Dawn minus 1, you may rest this card. Your opponent places 2 cards from the trash at the bottom of their deck. Not worth it at all. And then you then add the top card of your life to your hand. 0 chance this really works for you. Now, having a 3-4 is not bad because we don't have many things to do on 3-Dawn, but I don't think it's worth playing something like this. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe if you're not playing Rainbow Luffy format, which is what I mainly base this off of, it may be worth it, but most people are just going to be playing Bonnie or, Red Sanji, and that's going to be about it. So maybe it's good if you're playing Red Sanji leader, but other than that, I would say don't run that either. Now, the card you want to play, as many as you pull, is going to be Zeus. This is going to be removal, and we're going to talk about removal in the set in just a few minutes. Now, being a 2K counter, 2 cost that says you may add the top or bottom of your life to your hand, KO one of your opponent's 5 cost characters. So we're playing into a even curve. We play this on 6-Dawn and play down a 4 cost character on the same turn and remove our opponent's 5-7 that they just played on board. This card is so strong, and you can play around it knowing if it's in your hand or not, if you want to take a little more aggressive or if you want to counter out early, which usually you want to take aggressively in this format. But with this in your hand taking another life, maybe you counter a little earlier. Maybe you counter 1 extra life that you wouldn't have earlier. Don't go down to 2. My big goal is don't go under 2 early. So I always take usually the first 2 to 3 attacks, build up a large hand size to really make sure my board is stabilized and I can counter out aggressively to keep my board alive. Like this Bartolo we would be playing, as we talked about all the 6-7s and the 5-7s. We're definitely playing these, and this, and this, and this. Now, Berry Good is an option as well, and it's similar to the Reiju where it's not played unless you need it. I think it does help with the 4 cost characters. I'm not saying it's a bad card at all. I actually think it's good because you have more 4-5s, or you have less 4-5s in this format than most other formats. We have a bunch of 5s and a bunch of 6s thanks to these 2K counter type characters. So Berry Good and the Reiju are playable, but not highly recommended. Now, if you're playing a bunch of the 5s, which I will break down again in tomorrow's video, actually showcasing how we build our deck and the structure, I will say it's definitely possible to put in the deck, and I ran it in mine personally when I did win. So definitely an option, and it's a 2K counter. It's a 4-5. I think this card's definitely not bad, especially with the Reiju. The Reiju's not bad either. But if we don't have to play it, we have 4 cost characters like the blockers, because there's a ton of blockers in this format, I would say don't run it. Our final big 2K, we have one more after this, is going to be Little Sadie. And I actually did not like this card until I had it played against me and it rested down one of my blockers and it almost helped our opponent get lethal. And that happened in the video I didn't actually video, because there was one that I won that I didn't, and then there was one that I did. So I think this card's actually strong towards the end game, being a 2-cost 2K and Dawn -1 if your opponent, or if your leader has an Impel down type, which if we're playing the Rainbow Luffy, we do have that typing. Rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less. Now, resting down just a chump blocker for 2 Dawn can definitely win you a game in a format like this, so I think this has a good amount of utility, especially with how many 2-cost, 1-cost blockers there are in this format. I 100% recommend playing Little Sadie. And that takes us into Prince Groose, which I'm not very high on personally. I think this card's okay at best, but when you need it, it needs to already be on the board, and so you need to know when to set up for it, because it says when attacking all of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2,000 or less, with blocker cannot activate until the end of your next turn or the rest of your turn. So it stops all the blockers, the chump blockers per se, but I don't think it has enough utility in the format. I'd much rather recommend running Little Sadie, but if you're running low on options, Prince Groose is definitely great. So as I said, there's a ton of 2K counter options. These are the main ones that we would be playing, and I think there's actual like good abilities to having this many 2Ks, but I would say 14 max, because after that, I mean, if you're running a ton of Little Sadies, Prince Groose, and the other 2K counters that we talked about that weren't as good, like Prince Groose isn't as good, I feel like you really get behind. You don't have big bodies to drop on curve, and it puts you off tempo. Our final one is Goatee, which is a 3/4 2K counter, and it does absolutely nothing because you don't have a fire tanks type pirate character to trash, so it just returns a 1 cost to their hand, and that's not really worth it. So Goatee, I don't recommend, but being a 3/4 is not bad, especially in a format where we don't have 3-cost characters to play. It's just all right. I wouldn't recommend it personally, so that's kind of it for that. With that, you can sit here and take a screenshot of all of the 2Ks that I do recommend. And of course, you can easily put the Berry Good in here. You can easily put the Berry Good in here. You can easily put the Reiju in here. Zeus is a must play if you pull it. And Little Sadie, I think, is a must play as well, just because it has so much utility. Now, again, Frankie, definitely not a must play. I think Prince Groose, definitely not a must play. But everything else I think is good. Just don't run too many of the same cost characters, because you can really be behind from that. Just remember, it's a 40-card deck, so running 20 2Ks is not really worth it, because you're going to have half your deck be 2Ks in a format like this that I think it's overhyped to have that many. Now, usually in a format like this, you only have like 6 or 8, but having 14 is honestly really stable. I also just realized we did not do Caribou, which is going to go in our blocker section we're about to go into, and this card is definitely playable, and a lot of people may not think so, but trashing 2 cards in your hand is horrible in this format. Don't get me wrong, it is horrible to lose 2 cards, but I have had situations where Caribou is the only option in hand, and I don't have to discard any cards, so you can definitely win off a 1-cost character like this. Now, there are ways to rest down a 1-cost, and a lot of ways to get rid of a 1-cost. Even if they just played on a Praline, it just rests your blocker. Now, that does suck, but you're playing into your opponent in a sealed format where they're not guaranteed to have anything like that. I think Caribou is an option if need be. Sometimes, most of the time, you don't need it, but if you do, it's good to have in the deck. I don't think it's a must play. I think if you have other options you'd rather play, or you have enough chump blockers already, you should be good, but in a sealed format, I don't think Caribou is as bad as people think. Anyways, now let's get into the actual blockers. Last time we started off talking about the worst 2K counters. Now let's start off talking about the best blockers. With that, we start with Megalo, which I think is probably the best option in the format, being a 3-cost blocker that if you're running the Rainbow Luffy, as we talked about, it says blocker, opponent's turn, if your leader is Shirahoshi, which Rainbow Luffy has every single leader name and typing in the game, this character gains plus 4,000, being a 3-cost 6K blocker, similar to a 2020 Chopper and better. Obviously, in a regular structured format, this is a 6K character, only in Shirahoshi, but in a format like this is a 3-cost 6K blocker that can block out of almost any attack if your opponent does not put Dawn on their character or their leaders, forcing them to put extra Dawn and play off of curve. So I really like Megalo as an option, especially if you are playing Zeus, because now you can block out of the 5K leader swing, and then Zeus take the life yourself and KO whatever character they play on curve. So Megalo, chef's kiss. I love this card, probably the best blocker in the format next to the SR Katakuri we'll go over in just a moment. Now we go into this Monkey D. Luffy, which says if you have 5 or more cards in your hand, this character cannot attack, which is totally okay because it's a 5/7 vanilla stat line with a 1K counter, and it's a blocker. So this is actually an amazing blocker here. and it's the reason that I put another card, this card right here, so low in the tier list, because having 5 or less cards or having less than 5 cards is pretty average in a format like this once you start countering out of your life aggressively, or countering out of your characters being swung aggressively as well. So I think this card is just very, very strong in the format, being a 5/7, having the vanilla stat line. You don't need to swing early anyways, because then your opponent swings to your board and you start to lose those cards. So once you start swinging, that's when this card can swing. So you wait for your opponent to swing you can counter and then start swinging into their board with this Luffy and play around it perfectly. And I really, really think this card's good in a sealed format. Another amazing blocker is going to be Doll here, which is a 4/1 1k counter, which sounds like a horrible stat line. It's a blocker, but it says on play you may trash 1 card from your hand if your leader has a navy type. Give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 6,000 power for this turn. So it helps you remove many bodies that may go sideways. I actually had an opponent in my most recent pre-release that I didn't win. I played a Katakuri, rested it out of their leader attack for 7k. They played down the Doll and just destroyed my Katakuri. So I 100% recommend running this. It helps you control the board and gives you a blocker on the board to save yours. 100% amazing blocker in the format. Another amazing one is obviously the SR Nami. It's just a draw 3, place 2 cards at the top or bottom. It's super simple, but it helps you filter the hand to exactly what you need and helps you set up to not lose. And this card was such a pivotal card in my first pre-release win, so I think I had 2 of these in the deck somehow, luckily, and I found it. I only used 1 that game, but I ended the game having perfect 2k counters because I was able to filter my hand with this card, and filtering in a format like this, especially 3 cards total, is such an amazing thing to have in this format. An underrated blocker here is going to be Shu. This is a blocker that says once per turn when your opponent's character attacks, you may activate this effect. So you must activate this effect before you say blocker. Remember that, because some people will rule shark you. Of course, some people won't. A lot of people won't, but of course you do have those people. So make sure you say I activate Shu's effect first. If that character has slash attribute, this character gets plus 5,000. So it becomes a 10k blocker during that battle, meaning any of your opponent's slash characters that may be swinging in basically have no effect. They play a 6/8 Morgan, which is a vanilla card in this format. It just gets out of it for free. So this is such an amazing card. Your opponent has to play around it, which is perfect because that's what we want them to do. And so I had times where I would put down a character, and I actually recorded it. That's going to be in the video you see tomorrow, where I put down a Morgan and he had a Shu on the board, and I said, why did I do that? Because this is just so strong. So I had to find a way to remove his Shu to even swing in with my Morgan before I could do anything, because if not, I'm just putting the card sideways for no reason. He gets a free block. Amazing card, really underrated, and I think you definitely need to play this. Also, being the 4/5 stat line is really good because there's not a ton of 4 costs other than blockers, so I really like it in the format. And to finish off the big blockers, now there are going to be other amazing blockers we can talk about, but to finish off the really good blockers, of course, we have Katakuri, which we were talking about earlier. End of your turn, set 2 of your Big Mom Pirates type characters with a cost of 3 or more as active, which does count itself, and then add 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as rested. Now, Dawn from your Dawn deck as rested does not matter, because if you're playing this on 8, you're going into 10 on your next turn anyways, but restanding your Katakuri, really good, because now we can use an 8/8 aggressively, and then stand it up, and then use it defensively. So this is the best card in the sealed format, no matter what. If you pull this, you probably have a very high chance of winning as long as you find this card in one of your matches, at least getting 1 win out of it. But if you drop this on the board and your opponent doesn't have the removal for it, you just win the game. Straight up, no doubt about it. This card is amazing. The best card in this sealed OP11. Now let's talk about all of the other blockers in the format that I don't think are as good, but are definitely usable. There's a lot of different options here. We start with Smoker, which is okay for a 4/5. It says times when Dawn, this character cannot be KO'd by effects of characters without the special attribute. So it must be KO'd by special attribute characters. So it's good because it sticks on the board, but without much character removal, it doesn't do too much, and I'd much rather play Shu because it has a defensive ability rather than Smoker, which is probably just going to get removed off the board just from another effect or just by a swing itself. It's okay. It's definitely not bad to play this card, and it does have a somewhat ability to protect itself. I just don't think it's that strong in a sealed format. We go into Borsalino, which is actually a good blocker. I think a 3/3 is not horrible because of the effect that says activate main. You may rest this character up to one of your Navy leaders or characters can attack active characters during this turn. So we can play this on 3, go into 5, play it on a 5 cost. If there's a 5 cost Navy card, I don't actually think so. There's a 4 cost Navy card, there's a 6 cost Navy card, so there are Navy options because we could go into Kuzan, which is a 4/5, and then we can go into Very Good, which is a 4/5, or we can go into Shu, which is also a 4/5. but it allows them to attack active characters, so that's going to be very strong. Just to remove chump blockers. We can also do it on our leader because our leader is any typing thanks to being Rainbow Luffy. This card is actually really good. I just don't put it in the top 5 or 6 as we went over earlier. Now we go into Praline. Just says rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 1 or below. This definitely has utility in the format because we're about to talk about a couple 1-cost blockers. Now, 1 cost being Caribou and Pedro, 2 awesome options to just rest down and get rid of. There's also Mane, which a lot of people aren't playing because have to have other Big Mom Pirates, and there's also Ripper, which says you have to have Black Navy type characters in. These are hard to do in a sealed format, can definitely come up, but personally, I don't recommend playing these cards at all if you don't have to, because there's so many blockers to pull anyways, so why run those when you can run something else like the Praline that would just rest that character down anyways. Then we have a Chiji, a blocker, and it says on opponent's turn, blah, blah, blah. If you only have German type, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter because usually you're not going to only have German type. And if you do, you're probably going to lose the game anyways. And it doesn't really do anything. It just gives plus 1000 during a battle as counter. It's good being a 7/7 stat line, but having no counter kind of hurts when there's an option like this Luffy we were talking about earlier, being a 5/7 with blocker, or the category that's an 8/8. Now, don't get me wrong, if you don't have a lot of top end and you don't have like 5/7s or 6/8s or anything like that, a Chiji is a great option. If you don't have a big blocker or you just want to control the board a little more and that's more your play style, a Chiji is great, but I would much rather just play Luffy, honestly. I'd much rather just play Katakuri. Honestly, I'd probably rather play a 5/6 right here in the Ichiji, because at least the 5/6 has counter and blocker, so it still helps if someone's swinging big against me. If they swing 7, I just block in 2k, versus this, I have to block in 1k. It's not much of a difference. You still lose a card in hand, so I would say Ichiji, just all right. I don't recommend it personally, so I'm going to take it out of the list here. Then we get Yanji. This says if all your characters have the German type, this card can't be KO'd or rested. Most of the time, that's not going to be true. If it is, again, you're just behind. So I don't personally recommend Yanji unless it's just another 4/5 you need in the deck for the stat line. Shu, Yanji, and Smoker are all great options being a 4/5 because, again, there's just not many of them in the set. I just think there may be better options. I'd rather go Shu, and Smoker's all right, but I'd probably go Yanji over Smoker personally, but definitely Shu over everybody. And now that we're on to the next one, this is a 3/4 blocker that says place up to 1 character with a cost of 1 at the bottom of its owner's deck. Just better than the Praline, but just as good, I guess. It's definitely better because resting, obviously you have to swing into it. Placing it at the bottom of the deck, you just remove that 1 cost for free. So I recommend Brook over Praline, but if you only have Praline as an option, Praline's great. I think you run both of them just because of the cost. So the strength of these cards, these 3-cost blockers that people don't really think about, is that there's only so many options for these in the early game. And so if you're stuck going first, this gives you options that you didn't have before. I think 3-cost blockers are very strong. They're chump blockers that help you in the late game. 2 and 3-cost blockers are amazing in this format. 1-cost are a little weak just because of the amount of 1-cost removal to remove something just like a freaking Pedro. So I think it's good. It's really good, actually. Underrated, and I definitely think you play it in the deck. Pedro, we've been over it. I don't know how high up I am on this. Some of my buddies have really liked Pedro. I don't personally care for this card. It says if you have 4 less cards in hand, this character gains blocker. So it's very specific. You can play it early and then can't use it until very late. So it just sits on your board doing absolutely nothing. And for me, I'd rather just have a more 2k counter in hand or a 1k counter in hand, or play it whenever I need to late. So the 1 cost doesn't really matter to me, because when it gets a late game and I have 10 Dawn, have 5 Dawn for a character, 3 Dawn for a 3 cost, and I have 2 additional Dawn to swing my board. So I think Pedro is limited in this format. I think if you have to survive off Pedro, I think you're kind of just behind again. So I don't think I ever want to play from behind. I always want to plan to play ahead and be ahead of my opponent. So Pedro, not my cup of tea. You can run it if you want to, but I'm dropping it out of my list here. Then we get into Hannibal. It says on play, if your leader has the Impel Down type, which we do because we're Rainbow Luffy, you may play 1 Impel Down type character with a cost of 3 or less from your hand. And when we look through that, the actual purple card pool, literally all you have is Little Sadie, and then Little Sadie. There's no other options for this card. Hannibal is a 5/5, and personally, if you're choosing to play Hannibal, you should just play Smoker. You should just play the other 4/5s we talked about earlier, the Shu, the other options. It would be so much better to have something like this on the board. Even the Yanji. Why tap an extra Dawn when I could swing in for 6 than play a 4/5? And rather than playing a 5/5 for absolutely nothing. At least Shu has some utility, Yanji possibly could have utility, and same thing with Smoker, possibly could have utility. For me, Hannibal is just mid. If it was a 5/6, I would say 100% play this, but being a 5/5, I'm dropping it from my list. Now Briscola, play as many of these as you can because it's a 2-cost chump blocker, allowing you to play this early on an even curve, and even if you play it late game, it allows you to have a lot of Dawn efficiently to swing your opponent's board. So 2-cost chump blocker, definitely play it. Same thing with the Bedge. It does have a secondary effect that says if a supernova type character would be removed, add it to the top of your life instead. That's good. It's not very used in this format because if we look through yellow here, there's not really any supernova cards that I can see. They're all Fishmen, Sea Kings, and everything for Shirahoshi. So I don't think Bedge has too much going on for it for the secondary effect. But being a 2-cost blocker that is also a 1k counter, if this is the SR that you pull in your pools, I would say run it. It's a blocker, it does its job, it does what you need it to. Definitely run in Bedge if I get it. Now Shirley, should be Shirley. Blocker, you may flip the top card of your life area face down. Well, that already ruins it for us. Don't need this. So again, this comes down to your options and what you pull. If you only pull Charlie and you don't pull anything else, run Charlie. If you pull Brooke and Charlie and you're trying to choose between the two, run Brooke. Or Praline. You have other 3-cost options. Or Borsalino. This is a rare, this is uncommon, this is a rare, and this is a rare as well. So if I'm choosing between the rares that I pull and I'm choosing Praline, Brooke, or Shirley, I'm running probably Brooke. And if I have just 2 options, I'm running Brooke and Charlie, or Brooke and Praline, or Praline and Charlie. Definitely run multiples of these 3-cost characters, but running a lot of them is just not going to work. Finally, we get to Chan Maj, which is an interesting name. It says activate main once per turn. If your leader Shirahoshi, you may turn 1 card from the top of your life face down. Well, that's over. This card could be good if you have the ability to actually turn your life face up, which you do because there is a stage, but running a deck off of a stage is not worth it. It just says if your leader Shirahoshi, turn the top card of your life face up to one of your Sea King, Fishman, or Merfolk, get plus 1000. So yes, if you pull a crazy Merfolk Fishman deck, run this stage, run it into the ground, run every single copy that you can, because that's pretty good. And it works on Chan Mage, which says it can restand itself at the end of the turn. Really good, because we can now use it as a blocker, and that's just going to be so strong. But personally, I would not recommend running anything specifically to that stage, but I would recommend running a 5/6 blocker. It's the strength of the Nami, it's the strength of the Chan Mage, it's the strength of the Megalo. Being 1k over the leader is that it's actually worth blocking, and then if you want to be very defensive, if they swing into this character, you can counter out aggressively with less counter because they're swinging into a 6. So your leader's obviously a 5. If they swing their 5, you just block out for free. If they swing a 7 into the character, it's only a 2k. Rather than if your opponent swings 5 and you have a 4/5, if I block with this and it's not a slash type attribute, well, it just dies. Or I'm countering out of a 5, which I would have been countering out of anyways. So it's like, why would I even block? That's the difference in the strength of 5/6 blockers a lot of people aren't aware of. It's just the strength of having that 1k above your leader, and if not, they're more just, hey, I block and get rid of it. I'm not going to ever block and counter with a 4/5. But with a 5/6, I can block and counter and have a strong body on the board to swing back into my opponent, or a larger body for my opponent to swing into that I would then counter out of. So for me, Chan Mage, definitely amazing card. As long as you're running 5/6 vanillas, I would recommend running 5/6 Chan Mage over that many vanillas and keeping that 12 to 14 2k counters in the deck and running the Chan Mage instead. Well, that was it for our blockers. We're going to move on now to the just good cards, the best cards in the format that help me win my sealed event, because there are a lot of amazing options, and so we're going to go through them. It's going to include all of the removal in the format, all of the events in the format, and the best characters to play on curve, and just the best characters to play in general. To finish off though, this is the full list of blockers I would recommend. You can screenshot this now and save it for later when you get to your sealed games. I would just say there's a lot of great options here. Again, there are some options that are worse than others, like the Smoker that I said was worse than running Shu. But again, 4 or 5 options are great. Same thing with the Yanji. I would say you can drop either of these out of the list and you can move on to more of these options down here, like the Chan Mage or the Megalo or the Nami. Of course, if you pull that, the 5/7 Luffy, the Brook. There are so many amazing blocker options in this, honestly. So many strong options. Doll, even Caribou having a 2k counter and being a blocker, this kind of hits both of what you're looking for, so I like this card too, even though it does say trash 2 cards from your hand. So these are the ones I would say I would recommend. If not, hey, do what you want with your sealed format. Now let's get into those good cards. I did just realize when we went over 2Ks, we didn't talk about Aramaki. This is definitely a playable 2K in the format. Activate main, trash this card. If your leader's a Navy type, choose one of your characters with Navy. This character can attack active characters during this turn, then trash the top 2 cards of your deck. This is good if you have a Navy package. If not, I wouldn't recommend it because it does say characters. So it really depends on your pools, but I don't think Aramaki is not playable. I definitely think it is, especially if you do get more Navy types, because even if you play the Kuzan, the Sol, these all have Navy. It is in brackets, so actually never mind on the Sol, but it's got options, I guess. So maybe play this, but it's not the top tier 2K counters. And here we go into the good cards. We're just going to go in color order so you can keep this all together for the good cards of the deck profile. So we start with Zephyr, which I think a 5-6 is already a good stat line. It works with the vanilla stat line, similar to the 2K counters, but it has a 1K counter. This is times 1 Dawn. When attacking up to one of your opponent's special attribute characters, gains minus 5,000. So I should say loses 5,000 power during this turn. I guess gains minus 5,000 works too. And there's a lot of special attributes in this format. If we look through all the good cards, which will give you a little preview, let's see if there's many. There's the Kuzan here. There's the Lin, which is definitely an option to take down. There's the Nami here. There's not too many in the good cards card pool, but there's a lot in the 2K counter. The Smoker here. There's options. This is not my favorite card to play. It gets rid of Beans, which is just a vanilla. It's okay. I don't personally recommend it at the highest level. This is an option though, and you're running low on 5-6s, you don't have many options, or you need an extra card. This is definitely one you could play because it forces your opponent to play around it a little bit, but I'm not sold on it. So personally, I'm taking Zephyr out the list, but I wanted to mention it as a possible option, but there are just better options for cost minus in this set. Starting with Nico Robin, which just says times 2 Dawn when attacking, being a 3-4, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2,000 during this turn or until the end of the next turn. That's just good. It says until the end of their next turn. So it makes a 6K character into a 4K until the end of their next turn. So it also means you can put 2 Dawn on this, swing 6 into their character, make their 6K into a 4K, and you're swinging 6 into it. And now you put 5, maybe 6 on your leader, swing into that, and then you got 6 and 6. That's 2 cards out of hand each time, so that's 4 cards total. That's just really strong. Any cost minus is really good in this format because you can play it down early and then use it when you need to. You can just hold this as a character, leave it as active until you're ready to attach the 2 Dawn and swing it to your opponent's board. Just hold it as active until you need it. Do not swing this into their life. Don't get greedy. Don't put a Dawn on it and swing 5. Use it for its utility. You can hold off swinging your opponent in a format like this and not give them too many cards in hand. Now we get into Hibari, which just says on play, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2,000. This is just the better Nico Robin because it just happens when you play the character. So I really like Hibari a little more. It also says when attacking, this character gains plus 1,000 power. Then if your leader has a Navy type, up to one of your leaders may attack active characters during this turn. So what we can do is play it on Hibari, give character minus 2, swing in with our leader. Maybe it's a 4K character, we swing into it, whatever. You know, it's cool, we get a card out of hand next turn. Now we attack with Hibari into a rested character for 7, which is very strong, just getting plus 1,000 for free. 5-7, I'll take it all day. And then your leader can attack into active characters, meaning you can either Dawn up on your leader, play out a chump blocker after to save your Hibari. You can do whatever you want. Swinging active characters, you can go into a chump blocker just so it's not there later, so you don't have to deal with it, because I did have a game I lost just because I left the chump blocker on the board and I didn't realize I still did because I should have removed it and I didn't, like a bum. But Hibari, great option in the deck, 100% run every single copy, even though it has no counter. It's a 5-7 that gives minus 2K, really good. Then Roronoa Zoro, this is our last red option that I personally recommend. There is one more that I'm going to put as a possible, and this is not counting counter events or events in general, so just know this is all the red characters. Roronoa Zoro just says activate main once per turn, give up to 1 rested Dawn to your leaders or one of your characters. Getting a free Dawn is good. At the end of the day, a 5-6 stat line and getting the free Dawn, really good. Now, if they have a shoe, this card's a little worse because obviously they get out of the attack for free, but it's an activate main once per turn, so you don't even have to swing Zoro to get the rested Dawn. You just have to play a character and have rested Dawn. So 100% recommend Roronoa Zoro. As many as you pull, play it in the deck. That's just simple math right there. Getting a free Dawn, you put 2 of these on the board, that's 2 free Dawn. You put 7 of these on the board, that's 7 free Dawn. Obviously, you can't do that, but it would be funny. But just Zoro, run it. Arlong, now run it. Being a 4 cost 7K is amazing because it says if your leader has a Fishman type, If you have 3 or less life cards in your life area and your opponent has 5 or more rested cards, this character gains -3 cost in hand. So basically you play it out for 4, you wait until you get to 8 Dawn, you drop this and another 4 cost, you're sitting in a very good spot. Just getting so much tempo. You do this on 10 Dawn, you're playing a 6 drop or a 5 drop and playing this out for 4, so that's 9 total Dawn. You have 1 extra Dawn to swing 6 with your leader. It just puts you so ahead. Your board becomes so aggressive. I had someone drop 2 of these on me. I still won the game, but it was very close, especially because he had a Sol trigger, which you'll see what that does at the end of the game. But I think 100% you run as many of these as you can because the 7/7 with counter and has a trigger to rest one of your opponent's cost 4 lower characters. There's so many options and so much utility in this card. 100% in a sealed format, run this guy. Now we get to Gyro-Me, or Bulge-Eyed Neptunian, as they call him. If your leader is Shirahoshi, this card can attack characters on the same turn as played. 100%, 4/6, vanilla stat line, pseudo rush, run into characters. This card is so good, your opponent never expects to see a Bulge-Eyed Neptunian or a Gyro-Me, which is what it's called on the sim, but the actual translation to English is Bulge-Eyed Neptunian. Now, I really like this card. That was a reference to a friend from Locals, just saying. But this card, just to let you know, it really is just that good. I 100% recommend playing this card in your sealed format. Although it doesn't have counter, there's going to be cards without counter. And that's why we're running 14 2Ks. 100% running this card, 7 of them, 6 of them, 4 of them, 5 of them, I don't care. This card's really good. Then we get into probably one of the best cards that is not a SR in the set. Up to one of your opponent's rested characters will not become active in their next refresh phase. It's that easy. Or trigger KO one of your opponent's 3 cost characters. It's that easy. Just freezing down a character, stopping it from attacking you into the next turn. It can be an 8 cost, a 10 cost. It does not matter. It does not become active. Lord of the Coast, every single one of these I would run, even over Bulge-Eyed Neptunian, even over Hibari. If I just drop this every single turn and freeze your whole board, you're just cooked at that point. In that time, I'm just aggroing you down, hitting you in the face. As many of these as you pull, although it is a rare, you only probably will pull 1 at most, if you even pull 1. 100% run Lord of the Coast. Same thing here with Jinbei. This card is amazing. It says if your leader is a Fishman or Merfolk type, which we have every type in the game, rest up to one of your opponent's 5 costs or less. So that helps us rest down their character and swing into the board. Because it says activate main once per turn, up to one of your Fishmen, which this is a Fishman, or Merfolk type characters can attack characters on the same turn they are played. So what we can do, 6/8 Jinbei into the rested character we just rested down, remove it off the board. It's that simple. We get value right away out of Jinbei, which we really like to have, and that's one of the most important things in this, is getting as much value as you can out of your characters as soon as possible, and it really just hurts your opponent. It forces cards out of hand. It forces you into a very advantageous position. Amazing card here in Jinbei. If you find this in your pre-release, I think this is low-key one of the sleeper picks in the format. This and Lord of the Coast are some of the best cards, and there's a ton of Fishman cards you can pull to then give rush later, or pseudo rush later, to then swing in actively. This card is just so good. Now, Sanji is just alright. It says when this character is KO'd by an opponent's effect, look at the top 5 and play 1 Straw Hat crew with a cost of 5 or less, which is basically just Nami, I think. I don't know if there's any other options for Straw Hat. Maybe an Usopp, which is a 5/6 vanilla, because it doesn't specifically say blue, it just says play a character. So it's good if it gets removed, but with the lack of removal in this set, I don't think it's that important. The big thing is just on play, return one of your opponent's characters at an original cost of 5,000 power or less to the owner's hand. We can bounce back a chump blocker. It's good. If it's the only SR you play or you pull, you should definitely play it. There's no reason not to. It's solid. It's not my favorite. It's not the best, but it's solid, to say the least. I enjoy this card. I played it. I pulled 2 of these actually of one of my pre-releases here. I pulled 2 of this, and I did say earlier I pulled 2 Namis. I pulled 1 Nami, and I pulled 2 Sanjis. This card was very strong, just bouncing characters, and sometimes you couldn't bounce a character at all, or you can bounce your own characters back to hand if you use it. If I have a Zeus, I can bounce my own Zeus back to hand, either replay it and then KO a character with 5 costs or less, which is even stronger, or return a 2K to hand after I played a utility 2K on the board. So Sanji, good card, not the top pick in the SR pool, but definitely a good card. I would say my next pool, I would much rather play Nami, which we've already gone over. Amazing card, definitely play it. Of course, if you pull the secret, 100% play it. 8/8 rush and then win a attacking, bounce a 4 cost and get arrested on your leader. Amazing card, 100% play. It's a strike attribute, so Shu doesn't worry about it. Shu doesn't do nothing. Obviously, the other card we went over, Zephyr, doesn't do anything to it. Luffy, 100% play. If you pull a secret, just play it. If you pull a manga, just say, hey, can I play a different one and not play the manga? Can I borrow someone's? Because you don't want to play the manga in the list, but you could play this. Then we get into Katakuri. We've already been over Katakuri. 100% play. The best SR in the game in this card pool, 100% is Katakuri. No doubt about it. No one can change my mind. best card to pull, Katakuri. You have a very high chance of winning if you find this card in every game. So definitely running Katakuri in the list. It's probably the best card in the format other than, no, there's nothing better. I just looked over everything. There's literally nothing better. Run Katakuri to the ground, every single one you pull. If you somehow pull 2, run both. There's no doubt about it. Then we get into 10 Lin here. This says if your leader is Big Mom Pirates, which we have every typing in the game again, this has Rush. So a 10-12 Rush is basically all you do. Now you can do it on opponent's turn, once per turn, Dawn -5. You say a cost on top of their deck, get plus 2,000 to your leader if you call it right, which you have a 1 in 10 chance. Obviously, statistically, in these deck pools, it will more than likely be 5 or 6, possibly 2 or 3, but more than likely I would just call 5 every time in case you do drop this Lin and you need that effect to not lose. But I would say more than likely you're just putting down a 10-12 rush. 100% if you get multiple of these as well. I saw one dude with 2 of these on the board playing against somebody and I was like, I am glad I'm not the other guy, because that would feel miserable. As soon as I see this card, I gotta get it off the board. 100% play this card, 10-12 rush, value right away, 100%. I love this card. Then we get into Saul. This is actually another amazing option if you go first. If you pull this card and you're building your deck into a going first kind of pool, this card's amazing because you'll hit 7 Dawn. You can't play this on 6 because it says if your leader's Nico Robin and you have 7 or more Dawn cards, so you have to have more Dawn than Saul actually has. It just says draw 2 cards. So drawing cards in a format like this, you go +1 playing this card down on the board. Now, it does have a weaker stat line being 6/6, but it has a trigger that says activate this card's on play effect. And drawing 2 cards again is just amazing. You literally get a 6/6 on the board and a Sanjay's Pilaf. I'm gonna take that. You go +1 in cards and +1 on the board in cards, 100%. I played 3 of these in one of my wins, in the one you're actually gonna see tomorrow. 100%. I love this card. Then we get into Kuzan. This card's all right. It's not my favorite, but for a 4/5, it's really strong. On play, trash the top 3 cards of your deck. When attacking, up to one of your leaders or characters with the Navy type can attack active characters during this turn. So Kuzan is very good to just swing for 5 at your opponent. They may counter, they may not. And then you give your leader the ability to attack active, and maybe you swing heavy into a character. Maybe you just remove a jump blocker. Again, attacking active is good. It's not the most important thing in a format like this, because at least in this early game when you're going to be playing the Kuzan, unless you have a lot of other Navy cards. Now, obviously, if you're running a large Navy package, this card's just unbeatable. Attacking active characters is amazing. Don't get me wrong, we're not trying to play it down. It's amazing in a format like this specifically because you just want to remove the board. You don't want to hit them in face, but you just don't have too many options. You only have your leader. You only can really choose a 5 cost or a 5k character. Obviously, it says Navy in brackets. It kind of forces you into just Navy specifically. And then your only other option that's really good is going to be Bogard or Morgan. Garp is just not playable. It doesn't do anything. It's just an 8/8 vanilla. And I guess, hey, no counter on an 8/8 vanilla, not really good. But if you're running the Kuzan package, you get like 4 of these and you need a lot of Navy. Run Helmeppo, run Garp. Those are amazing. But more than likely, you're not going to get those pools unless you're just very lucky. So Kuzan's good. It's not the greatest, but I definitely recommend playing it in the deck, especially because it's in that 4/5 spot. Unless you get 10 Lord of the Coast, then just run Lord of the Coast. Then we get into the other secret. Kobe, up to one of your characters can attack one of your opponent's active characters during this turn. So Kobe, really strong, 8/9. You can choose yourself to attack your opponent's active character, which is going to be really good. And then it says you may return 2 cards from your trash to the bottom of the deck in any order. Give up to one of your leaders plus 1,000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. So you become a 6k leader and you get to attack an active character. So an 8/9 on curve that attacks active is very strong. This card is just way better than Kuzan because it gives it to itself, and that's really good. So 100% playing Kobe in any deck. Again, it's a secret, so just play it. Zeus, obviously another form of removal we already talked about. Being a 2 cost KO, a 5 cost is really strong, and a 2k counter. My god, dude. Play every copy that you get a Zeus. 100% play this. We've already talked about it. Then we go into Fukaboshi, which I'm not too big on, but I had a few buddies from locals say this is a good card. It says if this character would be KO'd, you may rest your Shirahoshi leader or your Fishman Island instead, which is obviously the stage we went over earlier. But it says on play, add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life to your hand, KO up to one of your opponent's 1-cost characters. So removing a 1 cost is good. A 3/5 vanilla stat line is good. Not having counter is not so good. So if you're running a lot of SRs and non-counter cards, you get 10 of this card or 10 of this card. Obviously, don't run this. This is like a lower end option. I'd rather run my 3/4 blockers, but it's an option for a 3/5. It can add a card to your hand, which is really strong in this format, just having more cards in hand to continue the game. I like it a lot. It's good. It's not my favorite. It really just depends on your pools. But just know this is another great option in your card pool you may want to play. Now that you've seen all of the best characters to play in the deck, I am now going to give you the best counter events and events in general, removal events, because there's just not a ton of removal in this format. So I hope you enjoyed these removal events and counter events, but first let's go into a full profile on what we just went over. And then after, we'll do a full profile on all the best characters and all the best removal and options to play as counter events that I like for this format. We start off with honestly the best card in this. Give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 4,000 during this turn, then KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 6,000 power or less. So you can Honesty Impact a Katakuri, you can Honesty Impact a Monkey Luffy, and just remove them off the board and make 8 into 4, and then just pop it. Or you can make 8 into 4, you can then pop up a 6k blocker Nami, and then you can swing big into the 4. It gives you a ton of options and utility on the board. Just having Honesty Impact is so good. So if you pull 10 of these, run 10 of these. Maybe not 10, but definitely 2 or 3 if you pulled it somehow, which would be very unlikely. I don't even know if it's possible. Honesty Impact though, 100% running it in the deck. I think this card is just too good. Now Excalibur is a different kind of option here. I like it and I don't. It just says activate main, give up to two of your opponent's characters minus 2,000 power, then up to one of your Navy type characters plus 1,000. And yes, you have to have a Navy type character for that secondary effect. So if we don't, it doesn't really work. So it's not the best thing per se. I like it. It's just okay. Giving minus 2,000 to 2 characters is great, but you're not really developing bodies. So it's basically just if you have Habari or Robin, run those instead. If you don't have much option to control the board or much removal at all, it's actually really good. If I don't find Honesty Impact or other removal options we'll go over in a minute, yes, run Excalibur. But if I get an Honesty Impact and I get the 3 cost character, the 3 cost and the 4 cost here, I probably wouldn't run it. I don't think it's as strong. It's good. It's just in a lot of situations you're not going to use it. And activate mains are not always as good unless they just pop the bodies fully. Now we get into Gum Gum Elephant Gun. This just says tap 1 Dawn, activate main, you may rest 1 more Dawn, rest up to one of your opponent's 5 cost, very strong, and then counter up to one of your leaders gain plus 3,000 counter for this turn. So getting a 3k counter for 1 Dawn, great. Resting a 5 cost for 2 Dawn, great. It can help you win the game, just getting rid of the blockers off the board. It can help you just in general. 100%, I think Gum Gum Elephant Gatling is a very strong card, and I would 100% recommend it as a counter event. Just don't run too many counter events because a lot of people will break up if they do. Now, obviously, I would run this over a few others, just having the efficiency of doing resting a character or 3,000 on your leader. But just remember, it only goes on leader, so it does not help with characters. That's my only issue with this card, and that's my only issue with the next card, which just says up to one of your leaders or characters with the Fishman or Merfolk type gain plus 3,000 during this turn. Now, it has a secondary effect that says rest up to one of your opponent's 3 cost or less. Very good card. Resting down chump blockers, just swinging into their board and removing those bodies early is really good. But this says only leaders, and this says only Fisherman or Merfolk. So keep that in mind as you're structuring your deck, because this only helps you when you're actually behind and they're hitting you in the life and your board's already gone and they're not trying to control your board, or if they are just misplaying. That's my only issue with the 1 for leaders. Like 3k for leaders is solid, but there's better options if you're going for the counter side. Now, if you're going for the resting character, it's actually really good and has some amazing utility. But plus 3,000 on leader in a format like this usually just means you're behind and they should be swinging your board anyways, or they're really behind and it's a win more card. So at the end of it, you could just run a 2k counter instead and feel pretty confident that you're not going to lose if you're having to use Gum Gum Gatling. And there's other options to rest down characters. So if you have those other options to either pop the character or rest the character, there's just better options. But to not lose the game, to rest down a blocker and win from behind, it's a good card. Same thing with the Vagabond Drill. I actually played this. I think it's a good card. I would recommend running it because it can go on your characters for Fishman or Merfolk, get plus 3,000. It's not my favorite, but it's solid. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It rests 3 cost. I think it's good, but it's really up to your own discretion here on these counter events. There's a few options because you also have You're Not My Type. It gives your leader plus 4,000 or your character plus 4,000. That's a lot stronger. It's literally just a straight 4k. 100% run this for a 1 cost event. There's no doubt about running this card. These are possible. There's no doubt about it. A plus 4,000 counter is just a Radical Beam, and you get it for free, and you can KO a 2 cost on trigger. So if they have some kind of chump blocker or something you want to deal with, you can, and that's already good enough. If you can't, that's fine. We'll be okay. We got a plus 4,000 power. That's really good. That's really good. Then you have Gum Gum Red Hawk, which just says counter side, up to one of your leaders gain plus 3,000. It's very similar to the Gum Gum Elephant Gatling. It's good. 3,000 power again on your leader is good. It's just not my favorite. The big thing with this is the removal. Activate main, rest 3 Dawn cards. If you and your opponent have a total of 5 or more life, KO one of your opponent's 5 cost or less. So you will usually always have the removal early for this on curve or a little later than curve because you have a 5 and 5 life leader, especially if you're playing the late game and not really swinging your opponent's life. This card is just really good. I recommend playing Gum Red Hawk. I think it's just a really good card. Removal in this format, of a limited removal format, 100% running this card every time. And to finish off the removal, we have Gum Gum Jet Culverin. This just says return one of your opponent's cost 4 or less to the bottom of the owner's deck. So you just bottom deck a 4-cost character, helps you with pesky cards you couldn't control, like the Shoe if you're playing slash type attribute characters, or if you want to get rid of a Kuzan or something on curve, you get rid of the Lord of the Coast, get rid of the Bulge-Eyed Neptunian. It gives you options to remove bodies off the board, get rid of blockers later if they are running the Smoker, the Shoe, the other 4/5, whatever his name was, Yanji, the most least cared about Germa Kingdom type character. But I 100% think Jet Culverin, jeez Louise, if I could even say the name, is definitely going to be played. And actually, there's one more card I almost missed, but I think this is definitely a playable card. Removal in this format, I'm running every Honesty Impact, I'm running every single Culverin, I'm running every single Red Hawk. I'm running most of the Gum Gum Jet Gatlings, maybe, it just depends, because resting 5 costs is still good. And I'm running every single one of these, which is a really underrated card to newbier players in the format. I think people don't know how good this card actually is. Yes, it adds one character with a cost of 6 or less face up to the top or bottom of your opponent's life. Yes, it gives them more life. In a sealed format, that does not matter. Giving your opponent more life is actually good because they don't have it in hand, they don't have counter power, you remove a body off the board. There's so much tempo to this card. If they drop a 6/8 on you, they drop a 6/8 Jinbei, if they drop this Jinbei right here, you need to get rid of this. There's no doubt about it. You need to remove this Jinbei as soon as possible, and that's where this card is just so strong. You save it for those big bodies, the 6/8s, the 5/7s, whatever you need to. Getting rid of it on curve is amazing. 100% recommend. It lowers their hand size because they have to play it out. It lowers yours by 1, but you drew for your turns, you're even, and you're really getting a stronger board state. Building up, swinging your opponent. They don't have anything to swing into your character, so now you're swinging aggressively into them and removing their bodies while you just get rid of theirs. It's so good. You just put their card at the bottom of their life so they can't just drop another 6/8 because they probably don't have one because we're in a sealed format. So 100% running this every single time. I had so much help using this. And then it says add up to one of your opponent's cost 4 or less to either their top or bottom of life. This can also help you. Like I said, you have options with this card. It's so good. I 100% recommend play this in your sealed format and play all these cards. And to finish it off here, this is the list of cards you can screenshot now, all of the characters, and then now you can screenshot all of the events I recommend playing. Now again, remember these 2 are not guaranteed, these 3 are not guaranteed plays. I like this card a lot. I like this a little more than Elephant Gatling, just because you can go on characters, at least if it is a Fishman character. So if you have a Fishman build, you can use this. Even if you're using it on the 4/5, which I'm sure a few people are going to be upset I didn't mention, the 4/5 Hachan, which just says you may rest this card. This card's actually playable, by the way, I forgot to mention it. Actually, it may rest this card if your leader is a Fishman or Merfolk type. Up to one of your opponent's cost 3 or less do not become active, or cannot be rested until the end of your opponent's next turn. So it just stops a 3/5 from attacking you, like the Fukaboshi. It stops a blocker from blocking against you, like the chump blockers we went over earlier, like the Porcelino. I think you get so much utility out of Hachan. 100% play this card. I think it's really good. I just forgot to mention it earlier. I also forgot to mention Fisher Tiger, which just rests a card on play. That's really strong, especially if you do have something like a Jinbei up here. If you have a Jinbei and you can just swing in with Fisher Tiger, so you can swing in with Jinbei because you already had it on the board, then you can swing in with Fisher Tiger after resting a character. That's just good stuff. That's really good stuff. It rests any character in the game, so if they have an 8-drop category, you tap 6, rest it, and then do whatever you need to after that. 100%. I think this card's good. It's not my favorite pick. Again, there's other options. I think 6/8 is really good, but resting a character and controlling the board is a little better. So I don't know. This is just my first time doing a really in-depth deck profile, build, whatever, showing you the best cards. I hope you got your screenshots in, because now we're going to my pretty face. All right, that was it for this video. I know it was a long video. I wanted to give you all of the details I could on helping you win your sealed format. Again, tomorrow we'll actually have a video on when I won it, trying to do a little deep dive into the 4 rounds that I did win to get a really awesome promo here with the Mihawk. Now, this won't be played in Buggy. It won't really be super playable, I don't think, in general, but it's a cool card nonetheless. It's a winter promo, which is also a winter promo you could win on Friday's stream at 6 p.m. when we're opening a whole case of OP11. I know you already heard the spiel, unless you skipped over it, but you can win Shiraho Shirgeki Moria alt arts. You can win up to 8 packs of Royal Blood, and I'll be giving away one of the pre-release winners. So if you enjoy your pre-release and maybe you don't win, you still have a chance at getting a pre-release winner, Mihawk, because Mihawk's an amazing character. It's a cool card, and it's a release winner event. So thank you guys so much for watching as always. Please subscribe, join the One Piece family by joining the Discord down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.